I'm Laurie Blake. Welcome to the WrestleTalk news. On Fridays, we wear pink. As if you didn't need any further proof that we are living in a live episode of Succession when talking about WWE and Vince McMahon, one of the company's lawsuits against the boss has just been dropped. Bloomberg are reporting that WWE shareholders agreed to drop its lawsuit against McMahon over alleged sexual harassment and hush money claims. The shareholders said that their claims became moot when Vince agreed in late March to repay the $17.4 million that the company racked up investigating him, probably right around the time they realised he was back in the boardroom. So how are we going to investigate Mr. McMahon? I didn't notice that you came in here. The judge in this case granted the dismissal, and counsel for WWE investors are now saying that they plan to seek a mootness fee, title of your WWE Premium Live event, as a reward for their role in forcing McMahon's hand here. Though from what I've heard, the only person forcing McMahon's hand was him. Allegedly. The payment from Vince merely covered the cost of the investigation, though, and not the $20 million that Vince allegedly paid his accusers in 2007. WWE and McMahon also still have a lawsuit over the racial discrimination and wrongful termination of former writer Brittany Abrahams to contend with. From one twisted tale to another of contracts both dangling above the ring and hanging over the wrestlers in regular life like the sword of Damocles, as we head into Money in the Bank this July. The Premium Live event, which sees WWE return to the UK after the monumental success of Clash at the Castle, takes place at the O2 Arena in London on July 1st. It's far enough in the WWE distance that little has been done to nail down who will be doing what at the show, but some interesting shenanigans have been happening in the old events section of WWE's website that have left people speculating. I mean, July's ages away in WWE terms, like tomorrow afternoon is ages away in WWE. First off, we talk about Roman Reigns, who initially was not listed as appearing at the event, but has now been added to the advertised stars, seemingly confirming that he's gonna be there. Did you hear that? Roman's gonna be here in London, which means that the table that he's head of likely is gonna be here too. You'd like to see that, wouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Good boy. On the flip side, Drew McIntyre has been removed from the list of names for the show, probably to stop another American Pie situation with Tyson Fury, because that really was the day the music died. But it's also bad news on the doorstep for UK fans who probably get a kick out of seeing some homegrown talent at one of the biggest shows WWE has run in the country. Now, the reason for McIntyre's removal is unclear as of right now, but he has been out nursing injuries after WrestleMania, but those were believed to only have had him out of action for a few weeks, and he certainly hasn't been dancing in the gym, kicking off his shoes, digging those rhythm and blues. He is said to be also in the midst of a questionable contract situation. His current deal is said to be up later this year, and reports put him and the company really rather far apart on an agreement over a new contract. And if they can't come to an agreement, it could be bye-bye, Miss American Pie. There's plenty of time for the two to come to terms, though, but it's a situation worth keeping a close watch on, because WWE choosing to remove one of their top UK talents from their biggest show in the country in years should tell you that something like a Tyson Fury note is totally off. Anywho, hopping back to the topic of major WWE Premium Live event changes, we actually have one of those tomorrow night, don't we? Yes, everybody's favourite inconsequential event of the year, WWE Backlash. But bar Rollins versus Omos, which just shouldn't be there, the card is it's pretty decent. Let's just all collectively send positive vibes to Cody Rhodes before he gets squashed in 2 minutes by Brock Lesnar. Oh, it needs more adversity. While Cody versus Brock is most likely the main event of the night, there is also a very good chance WWE could give the nod to Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest instead, a match that very well could steal the show. And as fun as the match is going to be, according to Fightful Select, the original plans for Bunny and Priest were originally set to be pretty different. Because the plan as of WrestleMania was to have Backlash see the next installment of the Ray versus Dominic feud with a little side salad of Priest and Bunny, because plans were reportedly heading towards a tag match between those four men. Now, WWE's original script would have seen Bunny pin Dom in order to pop the Puerto Rico crowd. However, plans would change and the Mysterios were just given the old boot. The change to a singles match was reportedly one that both WWE and Bunny were on board with, as WWE were comfortable with Bunny's ability to face Priest mano a mano. While Backlash is in our immediate line of sight, what of those longer-term WWE creative plans? Because Triple H would recently tout the importance and success of long-term storytelling at WWE's conference call, so surely SummerSlam is going to see a slice of that action, right? Maybe we're going to get Cody versus Roman Part 2. No, wait. How about Roman versus Jey Uso then? What about Roman versus Seth? Anything. anything. Nah. Who needs all of those active stars when he can tap into that newly minted UFC partnership, am I right? Yes, we're talking about the notorious Conor McGregor. Yes, McGregor to WWE felt like an inevitability at some point, and ever since news of the WWE/UFC merger and the acquisition from Endeavour broke, the Irishman has done his fair share of teasing on social media. Now, last month, McGregor posted a mock-up image of himself holding the UFC and WWE championships together, with another image posted by Ariel Helwani, seeing him holding the Money in the Bank briefcase also. Now, this all drew the ire of the Bloodline's wise man, Paul Heyman, who would call McGregor a Roman Reigns wannabe on Twitter and in an interview with Helwani from BT Sport. Sounds like a work, brother. Now, yesterday, May the 4th, seemingly randomly, McGregor would reignite those WWE flames by taking to Twitter to once again call out Heyman and Reigns, even saying, "SummerSlam, I'll pull in on the yacht, Roman and Paul out the bus." What that means, I'm not quite sure, but it is provocative. He would also tell Heyman to watch his back for life, and when he sees him, he's going to suplex him on sight. Sight spelt wrong. Most interestingly, though, McGregor would delete all of his WWE-related tweets not long after posting that, so perhaps he had a change of heart, or perhaps he let the cat out of the bag a little bit too soon. We shall see. While McGregor would likely draw a lot of mainstream eyes to WWE, one star that is looking to break out of the WWE bubble and go mainstream is Charlotte Flair. Now, Flair has been MIA since losing her WWE SmackDown Women's Championship to Rhea Ripley in that banger of a match at WrestleMania. However, she did recently feature in WWE's draft, staying put on SmackDown. While this would suggest that a return is imminent, it seems that Flair may have larger goals in mind in the near future, Hollywood-tinged goals. Speaking to the boardroom, Flair would state her intention to reach the heights of stars such as The Rock and John Cena and become a household name. Flair revealed, "I'd say for the first time in 10 years, I feel like I'm in that spot now where I can look outside the box. Seeing what happens, what that will look like, whether that's auditions, where do I fit in what roles? Absolutely. Sports entertainment is my home, but it's seeing what I can take from what I've learned in the ring elsewhere." Moving to AEW now, and there's been a fair bit of controversy lately surrounding former women's champion Britt Baker and her newest piece of merch. As covered earlier in the week following an attack from the Outcasts on last week's Dynamite, Baker would end up sporting quite the shiner on her left eye. Now, naturally, Tony Khan saw money and printed out an image of Baker's bruised face and released a shirt. And while the shirt is definitely badass, I think out of context it could also be easily misinterpreted as potentially promoting domestic violence or the like. That hasn't stopped it, though, from rocketing up AEW's merch charts, according to Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez, becoming the highest selling shirt in the company over the weekend. But what does Baker herself think of all the noise surrounding the shirt? Well, speaking to Sports Illustrated, Baker would reveal her surprise at all the attention it's been getting, saying, "I was very surprised. No duh. When it went on a shirt, it was really problematic, and that was so confusing to me, because why? If I'm on a shirt with a black eye, why does that make me weak? Why does that make me a victim? But if a man, or Chris Jericho, who I'm guessing in the context of this, in this sentence is not a man, had a black eye, they'd be tough and they'd be badass." Baker would state that the reaction has revealed an internal narrative regarding women, stating that it paints them out to be not as strong or as tough as men. However, according to Baker, the opposite is true, and the shirt and image of her with the black eye is empowering. You heard it direct from the horse's mouth. Sticking with AEW's women's division, and the curious little nugget of information may have inadvertently been dropped by one Jim Ross regarding AEW's potential hiring strategy for the women's division going forward. Because whilst discussing Trinity Fatu and her decision to move to Impact, JR would state on his Grilling JR podcast his surprise at the former two-times women's champion not ending up in AEW. You're letting a lot of cats out of the bag, Jamie. However, JR would also reveal that AEW's focus for the division is the ongoing Depth Initiative, title of your WWE PLE, by hiring more experienced workers to help build the division. This is a contrast. WWE have had more focus on younger, more unproven athletes who can eventually be molded into stars. It's not worked. While it can be argued that depth is most certainly not the issue with the women's roster, and it's definitely not the issue with the men's, you got hella men's. elements. It's more a case of allowing them time to actually work and not just do one segment with the women a week. Hopefully, AEW Collision is going to open up more doors for more of the talent in the AEW's women's division to get some good TV time. We're finishing up with the aforementioned Trinity now, and while her debut for Impact actually took place at last Friday's Impact taping, last night we actually got a chance to hear from the former Naomi directly as her debut episode aired. And unsurprisingly, it seems that Trinity is immediately aiming high in the promotion, stating her intention to win the Impact Knockouts Championship. And this would then see her confronted by current champion Deonna Purrazzo, who would reference her walkout of WWE in a really rather tense promo. Trinity was also joined by some very special guests at her debut Impact match in Chicago for Spring Slugfest, which was taped last Saturday. Images arose of former tag partner Mercedes Moné and former Team Bad friend Tamina and AEW CM Punk all in attendance, something that Trinity would discuss in an interview with TMZ Sports. Discussing the trifecta of visits, Trinity revealed that Mercedes Moné was in fact there with her all weekend, while Tamina and Punk just appeared from out of nowhere. Probably what they were talking about in the parking lot. Trinity detailed the Punk visit, particularly saying, CM Punk shows up and he comes in and it was really cool to see him. He gives me a big hug and just knew that he was there and got to see me. It was all so surreal. Isn't that lovely to see? Phil's a good guy, everyone. He's been good in a locker room. Just wholesome vibes. Wholesome vibes. It's a new bald head. That's what it is. Makes you wholesome. Look at me, I'm wholesome. Happy Friday, slags. WWE has banned blood. Watch on to find out more. Because Triple H would recently tout the importance and success of long-term storytelling. Long-term storytelling. There you go. That could be your end. That could be the end thing.